Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound, and today we got some coin news that we are going to discuss. A few pretty big things that all of a sudden need a little bit of extra attention here on your Labor Day. So hopefully you guys are taking it easy today. For those of you that are indeed taking a little time off to recharge the batteries and just observe Labor Day in all of its entirety. Thank you guys for joining me this morning on this Monday morning for a little bit of Blue Ridge coin news. But before we go ahead and get started, keep in mind, tonight on our channel, live coin Q&A, we are going to be giving away one of these big bad brick mama jamas. This thing is a brick shit house. Wow, lots and lots of content in here. If you guys have never seen this before, it's nearly 1,500 fucking pages of absolute knowledge for all you coin gurus. We're going to be giving away one of these books to cap off the summer of education on the live coin Q&A channel. Make sure you stay tuned for that. In addition, we will also be sharing with you for the first time, one of our guests had found a 1969S double die obverse Lincoln Cent, one of the big chase pieces in hunting today. I mean, no doubt about it. It's the wet dream of coins, of course. You find one of these, it's an instant win ticket, faux show. We're going to be talking about what this grade came back as. It's going to shock you. We're also going to kind of speculate on the value based off of how much these have sold in the past on the secondary market. Should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think the big news, and originally I wasn't going to talk about this coin, but I figured we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a 1969D Jefferson nickel. Outside of that conversation, there's really nothing very cool about this coin. It's a 1960s Jefferson nickel. Okay, nickels, I would say, as a whole, it's a love it or hate it type of series. As far as, a top down kind of like prospectus of this particular series, it started in 1938, and then here we are. We still have the coin going on, albeit with a somewhat kind of funky looking obverse on there that we've seen since, 2008 or something like that. The coin is probably toward the bottom in terms of collectability. Now, where these things really begin to cook is going to be the registry set system. Okay, again, I love talking about the registry set because 25 years ago, this was not a thing. All right, mid-90s, registry set, what the hell is that, right? But as long as PCGS and NGC have had their presence known on the internet through their website, all right, this is just another thing to kind of help promote the business, to help promote coin grading, and to help promote a completely separate direction in coin collecting. And it's not for the faint of heart. All right, let me reiterate that. It is not for everyone. It's a very high-end type of collecting with very little kind of like end goal in all this. There's really no big grand prize other than bragging rights, to be sure. So if you guys haven't seen it already, the registry set is online, pcgs.com, or on NGC's website as well. You get to see what all the hubbub's about. But essentially, this coin right here staring you in the face is probably one of the top maybe 5 centerpiece coins for any full steps registry set. It just so happens that this particular coin that you see on screen right here recently sold on Stack's Bauer's auction August 12th. And you guys can always go and look at the listing. I'll actually put that in the description box, a link direct to the listing along with the other great stuff. But boy, oh boy, this coin right here sold for $33,600. And like I said, originally I wasn't going to talk about this coin, okay, for a myriad of reasons. Because, first of all, it's a scarcity. It's quite rare. And we're going to talk about a little bit about how scarce it is in relation to the amount of coins that were produced. Because you'll find that even though it's a somewhat obscure date that not a lot of people think about, it does have relatively healthy numbers in the mintage system. All right. So why and how does a coin like this deserve the amount of money it costs to buy, a really nice Honda Accord is beyond me. But we're going to talk about it here today because all of a sudden I'm getting a few emails in saying, you know what? Hey, did you check out that 1969D Jefferson nickel on Stack's Bowers? And people are really more in tune with the auction houses that are currently out there. The big ones like your Heritage Auctions, your Stack's Bowers, Great Collections, David Lawrence, Legend Morphe, among a few others. Stack's Bowers, of course, has been in the game for quite some time. The Stacks organization is just absolutely phenomenal. They build it right, and when they do their big auctions like the World's Fair of Money, I mean, they go all out. They really put in the effort, and they put in marquee pieces to really help headline their business. And while this one certainly deserves a lot great attention to their website, they have sold a ton of other coins, multi-million-dollar pieces, lots of early gold and pockets and things like that. I mean, just some phenomenal coins. But this one right here gets the most notable kind of attention because of how new it is and how common it is. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about the mintage right now, and the numbers will kind of shock you. All right, 202,807,500 total pieces were made, which seems like a lot because it is. But there are other dates. If you go out 10 years to the late 70s, the mintages for one specific like mint coin, like a Denver, kind of creeps up above in that 500 to 600 million range. So, not quite apples to apples in terms of the mintage. I mean, a coin 10 years newer is effectively 2.5, 3 times the size. But this one, I mean, where does the $33,000 come in? Why did it sell for that amount of money? And yeah, you're going to hear it right. How do we find one of these? How do we achieve what I consider to be the impossible? Because me personally, as a collector who has been in the game for over 25 years, looks at something like this, I'm like, wow, that is really fucking fantastic. But there is absolutely no way that I'm just going to go out and pursue a coin like this. Okay. And I think a lot of people really want to go out, they want to find the coin either in circulation. By the way, do not find these in circulation. They're just not out there. Especially a coin that is, this old, at 50 years old. I mean, what's the odds that something like this is going to come up with full steps in circulation? But we're, like I said, we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit into what you need to do to have the best opportunity. I guess, it's only apropos that I say better you than me, because I really don't want to spend a lot of time and energy and money, because it's going to cost some money to find this coin, to try and find it. But hey, $33,000 is life-changing money. And again, it really only entails finding one example. If you're able to find that one example, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. That might save your bacon, okay? Or it might make your holidays. It really depends on what your current situation is. But 1969D full steps. So as far as the overall kind of stats of this coin, it graded out Mint State 65 full steps, and that's a PCGS grade. I'm pretty sure it's a gold shield. Let's see here. No, it's not a gold shield, not at all. But this is probably one of the most lustrous coins I have seen in recent memory. And one thing that I admire about Stack's Bowers is they put together some of the kind of like the best descriptions for the coin for their listing. And I think based off of how they proceed with this really elaborate, very elegant description, it really helps along in the sale. So let me go ahead and tell you exactly verbatim what the listing says. All right, so we have a 1969G Jefferson nickel, Mint State 65 FS, okay, full steps, and it looks every bit the part. And then here's the bulk of the description. While the earliest days of the U.S. Mint boast the greatest density of true rarities, and that sure as shit is true. That was not in there, by the way. Even the modern era of U.S. numismatics has its fair share of exciting treasures to taunt collectors. Wow, what a choice of word. Adventurous enough to cherry pick, armed with only a loop and an afternoon's worth of ambition. Among these underrated scarcities is the full step 1969D Jefferson nickel. Though mintage figures will confirm that no Jefferson nickel is anywhere approaching rare in an absolute sense, available populations are at times dwindled down to single digits when preservation and strike are taken into consideration. The nickels struck by the Denver Mint in 1969 demonstrate the extent to which entire issues were plagued by this conditional rarity, evidenced by the fact that just a single coin from a mintage of more than 202 million pieces has been identified as exhibiting enough sharpness to be considered full steps. And that one, nearly incalculable anomaly, is the gorgeous jewel to be featured in the present lot. Okay, so that rounds out the first paragraph. The second paragraph: this incredible 20th century rarity boasts a brilliant platinum white complexion and pearlescent luster on each side. Jesus. I mean, if I was able to describe that coin to a T, that is probably the best way of doing it. Although my lexicon of verbiage and words doesn't quite meet up the standards of a Stax-Bauer's description. The surfaces are comprehensively frosted with faint proof-like reflectivity apparent in the fields. Perhaps most impressive, and certainly most significant, is the profound definition exhibited by the design elements throughout. And this one certainly, again, looks the part. A thin wire rim traces the circumference in some areas, enclosing sharp legends and boldly pronounced centers that mimic the comprehensive striking characteristics of a special mint set issue of the era. Monticello's steps are nicely delineated, okay, that's a great word for that, remaining entirely unobscured by abrasions and exhibiting just the faintest modicum of softness at the lower right region. Among representatives of the issue, this piece rests at the pinnacle. And it sure does. We'll also talk about the population numbers of this coin just in full steps, and you are going to be pleasantly surprised. The full step 1969D Jefferson nickel was called the Golden Fleece by Q. David Bowers, with Scott Schechter suggesting in a December 2012 Coin World article that the owner of such a coin would be the king of Jefferson nickel collectors. The master hub of the reverse of 1940 had been in use for nearly 30 years when this issue was struck, and overall acuity had been progressively waning over the previous decades. And that's really the best reason why a lot of coins of the late 60s going into 1970, really incredibly difficult to find full steps examples. This fatigue was apparent in the amorphic quality of the more intricate design elements, most notably the steps of Monticello. While modifications to improve definition were made to the master hub in time for the 1968 production run, these efforts were largely in vain and the hub was retired in 1970. Alright, so that concludes the second paragraph, and then finally we have one little smaller paragraph to wrap it up for this listing. For this reason, compounded with inconsistent overall minting quality, the Jefferson nickels of the 1960s are considerable strike rarities, of which the 1969D is among the most elusive. The present specimen is the only example of the issue recognized as having full steps by either PCGS or NGC, placing it in a class all of its own for set registry enthusiasts and validating the true rarity of fully defined pieces from this mintage. Whoa. And then they even say in here, this is a pop 1, which is, I'm almost going to consider the fact that it's probably the top end, the top highest graded example with full steps, pop 1. It's pretty insane. But that is the overall description from Stax-Bauer's. As you can see, they really took their time in talking about and just giving all the details of that coin. Now, second thing I wanted to do while I have you guys online is that we are going to go ahead and take a look at the population reports. Okay, top to bottom, and it's 69D is like right there. Full steps. Oh boy. Let's see here what the numbers are. All right, so we only have one example in a full steps. It is indeed the one that you see here in a 65. Now, this particular coin was sold on a few occasions. The August 2021 example sold for $33,600. But did you guys know the same coin came up in auction in August of 2016? So that owner had reconsigned it with Stax Bowers, sorry. And that coin back 5 years ago sold for $30,550. Now, this helps support a couple of things. Just seeing the price difference, it's not considerably ridiculous, because normally I would say coins from 5 years ago, especially more of the classical stuff, a lot of the more keyer dates, I guess. That's not even a word, but we're just going to go ahead and use it because it's silly. The more keyest of dates have probably doubled in value in just 5 years. Now, this one right here is a key in a sense that it is a striking rarity. All right, finding them again with full steps is, of course, is like a needle in a haystack. So as of right now, this is only one example in 202 million pieces that is known with full steps. So obviously there's going to be a few more pieces out there. How many is anybody's guess? I can guarantee you it's probably less than 10 examples out there, which makes it probably one of the most rarest full step coins in the Jefferson nickel series, bar none. Okay, even taking over the crown of like the 68D, 68S, 69S, some of those dates, and even some of the earlier ones as well. There's a few dates within the 1950s are just next to impossible to find in not only appearance with this kind of luster and just general overall pearlescent, if we're going to go ahead and use some words from the Stax Bowers listing, just the amount of just completeness with the coin. Now, the coin is imperfect, okay? The listing, the Stax Bowers listing, had referred to a little bit of a weakness here on the bottom right-hand corner of the steps, but just good enough delineation. Yeah, I screwed that up. That it's very worthy of a full steps. But just an incredible coin. As of right now, there's only one example in full steps out of the 202 million. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about where you find these. If you think you're going to find these in pocket change, just forget about it. Okay, that's not the normal kind of like, arena in which these will pop up at. But people are going through one of two things. Number one, they're either going through old albums, because people were collecting and, just stuffing Whitman albums, and they're generally cheap. Okay, coin shops will have them, coin shows will have like full sets, and they're all mint state condition coins. And it's just going to take a matter of just going through them. And as long as you have a loop handy, as they said in the Stax description, obviously you need a jeweler's loop, because you can't see this with the naked eye. But going through these albums is going to be one of your better bets. The second one, if good fucking luck to find one of these, is going to be a 1969D BU roll. Like I said, good luck trying to find them. Those rolls, I would imagine, are probably selling for between $50 and $100, which is quite the investment to not find one. But more times than not, you're going to have probably less than a 1% chance of finding a coin out of these rolls to where it's going to even come remotely close to being looking like this. And even if it had steps on there, it's probably not going to be 5 or 6 full steps, which is the actual requirement of PCGS in order to earn that strike designation. All right, so we probably beaten the horse quite to death and probably ran it over a few times with the turnip truck. But we're going to go ahead and move on from the 69D. If you guys are indeed looking for this, I wish you guys the best of luck. There's nothing that I'd like better than to hear and chronicle a discovery of number 2 that you will either come back from NGC or PCGS with full steps. I kind of welcome the challenge for some of you to actually find this although I won't be participating in things like that, only because this is going to be a real time absorbing type of activity, a kind of a passion project. And you, of course, you're not going to be looking for just the 69D. You're also going to be looking for the 68D. You're going to be looking for some of the other dates of the late 60s. And I would imagine that some of those one-off dates like 65, 66, and 67, which were never made available in any mid-sets because those did not exist, silly, those would be another great target as well. So if you're able to find those in BU roll form, they would certainly be a worthwhile pickup. And don't forget, even if you don't want to crack open these rolls, there is the conversation of sealed equity, where you're just buying the sealed rolls, and they're, in a sense, an asset in themselves. So as long as you keep them sealed, they're going to enhance in value over a great deal of time. I've talked about this before, and it's even more important here in the last 2 years as people recognize that full bags of just mid-state type of coin of a single type are being hoarded, and they're worth probably 2 to 3 times the amount of money that they once were 24 months ago. But again, we've talked about that. I'm not going to go into greater detail of sealed equity. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about, oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering, there are a few other absolutely knockout nickels that have sold here during this particular auction through Stax Bowers. Of course, there's going to be another special mint set, the impossible coin that was never found in circulation. These were given away, I'm sure, to distinguished people at the time in full set form. So finding one just isolated by itself in a auction listing is kind of a outlier. You're just not going to see that. Here's the 53S, one of your much more scarce, tougher dates with full steps. Mid-State 66, that one realized $21,600. By the way, this is the A&A auction. All right. There's a 49D over S, FS 501. That one is a bomb at a Mid-State 67, full stepper, 18,000. There's a few really nice buffaloes. And then we come to this 1962. Just again, another really kind of like out there date that, I'm sure a lot of us have probably looked at this at one point and then ended up throwing it into a change jar. It's not going to be mid-state, of course, but this thing was minted into oblivion, many hundreds of millions. If you wanted to go into more depth and detail of the mintage of a 1962, actually, this one is quite tough, and I had it crossed with 64, where over 1 billion of each were made, but 1962p, 97 million is what we're looking at there. So that one is a lot more scarce than what I had thought originally, and that's why that one sold for 9,600. Because I'm willing to bet that particular coin just doesn't pop up, anywhere. All right, so the next order of business that I want to talk about is the Cherry Picker's Guide. We have been, I guess, anxiously awaiting, and we've probably thinned out our patience level on this book by 2.5, 3 years. Since the volume 1 6th edition, which is that top book that you see listed right there, came out. Okay, that's the newest one. And that particular book has been long sold out. It's been sold out since after release. They just didn't print enough of them. This was back when it was still under Whitman Publishing. And there was a lot of issues with Whitman and being able to instigate the overall bigger production of the Cherry Picker's Guide. And what we're coming across here, which is something very interesting, is that Whitman no longer has the rights to produce any more of the Cherry Picker's Guide books. The group for the Cherry Picker's Guide had actually, I guess, made an agreement or a contract with Kraus Publishing as going to be the new publisher of the book. They are being printed by Penguin Random House. They are located in Canada. So one thing I do know is that Penguin Random House is currently looking for employees. I think they are actively searching for employees, along with a lot of other places these days. The retail is struggling mightily with getting employees to come in, okay? Because I know there are certain states and all that are just they're all for paying people, unemployment benefits and all that stuff. And sometimes it's just way too good. The government money is just way too good. And, I'm sure we're going to see kind of like a closure of that. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen until after the holidays. There are certain states that obviously aren't reinstating this kind of like extra added unemployment benefits. I know here in the state of California, I am not a proponent to it. I think when people are ready to come back, and I'm pretty sure there are a good deal amount of people are saving their money. But of course, this is California. Everything's so damn expensive here. But we are going to see things happen next year, I would imagine. People heading back to the workplace. But again, that is a conversation for a different time. But when we talk about Cherry Picker's Guide, this is probably one of the most hyped, anticipated reference books. People are looking for the volume 2 to come out here really soon. There's been a lot of like kind of backdoor, kind of back office talk, a lot of cigar smoke and people drinking their whiskey sours, just trying to talk about this stuff. And I think what it really comes down to at this point, because Kraus and Penguin Random House are completely on board. They are ready to go with the production of this book. However, again, we have a number of contributors that are putting their information to this book, and then there's still a few things on that end that's right now preventing the book from moving forward with production. They are extremely close, and I feel like I don't know. I think we may not see these before Christmas, but I firmly think that this is going to be a book that will release first quarter of 2022, and it couldn't have come sooner. There's been a lot of people that have ordered my digital copy on my Amazon store, which is great. If you have like an iPad or some sort of tablet device, I mean, it works out good. But there is absolutely no substitute for picking up a physical copy and then thumbing through a bunch of paper, smelling the ink, and just really immersing yourself into a physical copy of the book. Where sometimes if you looking at an iPad and it plays tricks with your eyes, especially after spending 8 hours watching YouTube all day. But I will say this right now: there are certain Cherry Picker's Guidebooks that are reasonably priced, but I still wouldn't buy any of them. If you're looking to pick up like the volume 2, which talks about, what is it, half dimes to gold, you could get them for around 60 to 80 bucks. But they're going to be the older previous model. Was it fourth edition or fifth edition? We're waiting on the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the newest one. As you can see, here's one for $75, and it's brand new. There are a few of these copies out there. Again, if you really want it, then you're going to buy it. I'm not going to prevent you guys from buying it. Of course, people are taking advantage of the market and they're selling it. Call it scalping or what have you. I mean, that's kind of like the necessary evil to the world right now, as we see people doing retail arbitrage and making money and doing all sorts of things while they're not while they're still working from home. And there's still quite a few of those folks out there today that are doing such a practice. But if we are going to look at the overall general sales activity, I mean completed sales of the book, you could see that the ever popular penny and nickel book still selling like gangbusters. I mean, $170. Come on, guys. Go ahead and pick up a digital copy in the interim. But as you can see, people are waiting for this newer edition, and it's reflected in the prices. Some of them are like $50, $60, which I think is not too far off from the actual issue price of the book, which is like $30, $35, which seems pricey for what it is. But I can guarantee you this is going to be one of the best guidebooks that you will ever own. If you're looking to move a step up from the Red Book and just talking about type coins, and you want to get into varieties, RPMs, and double dies, this is the book to get. I just think with the market and the way it is right now, we are still anxiously and patiently waiting for the release of the book. And I've heard little chirps here and there about how this is gonna, evolve into an actual physical book here real soon. Now, you guys can always go on to Facebook to their page, Kraus Publications, and obviously they're hiring as well. All right, so maybe it was Kraus that was hiring and not Penguin Random House, but they are hiring, and that was posted May 13th, so that was quite a while ago. But it looks like they have this pinned, obviously, because it's at the top of their page. But if you go down a little ways, they have more recent postings. That one's 2 hours ago on that. Yeah, the hobby is thriving for sure, because I have people lighting up my email asking for a physical copy of this, and people think that I actually have like cases of this stuff, and I don't have any. I have my own personal copies of both Volume 1 and Volume 2, and we're leaving it at that. I'm looking forward to the newest edition of Volume 2. But you scroll on down, and when you like the page, you're going to get all the notifications. I am going to say this because I scrolled down a little ways, and there is a book that was released by Kraus, and Kraus releases a bunch of books, not just collectibles. But this Paper Money one right here by Friedberg, oh boy, I am going to be jumping all over that like you would not believe. I need an upgraded copy of a book like this that talks about all of the different types of paper currency, from large and smalls, all of the emergency stuff. I mean, that's, if you're into paper money, that is the go-to reference guide, bar none. And I would certainly look out for that. But really cool. I mean, they do a really good job on their Facebook page as well. So, go ahead and like their page. Let's all rally around the release of the Cherry Picker's Guide, now being produced by Kraus Publications. And, I think that's going to go ahead and do it. I've talked your guys' ear long enough. And I'm sure a lot of you have put in your thumbs down and left the video already. And that's all well and good, because any sort of engagement, as always, is great. It's great stuff. Again, we got this crazy nut bar 6090, $33,600. It's certainly quite a huge chase coin in today's numismatics, and again, probably one of the most difficult coins we will ever try and source. But I wish you guys the best if you guys are looking to pick up one of these in a roll form. Be prepared to pay through the nose for it. But that's going to go ahead and do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that dislike button if you don't like today's content at all. And we do have a Facebook page as well. So go to Blue Ridge Silverhound on there as well. And it's also Blue Ridge Collectibles. We got the whole Blue Ridge universe on Facebook, and I upload some of the newest videos on both. We got our live coin Q&A show tonight, so it's 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. For you folks out there that just want to take about an hour and a half of your day to come join us, we're going to give away this huge Mega Red. And we're going to talk about the grade reveal of the 69S double die. I hope to see you guys there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little bit of numismatic news. And that's going to go ahead and do it. You guys take care. Thank you for all your views and support. Love you guys tremendously. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long.